manufactured fast. What's that track like today?
It's a beautiful mahogany color, the great hue of the mist that comes in here in the morning and the rich soil of the area. It just compacts it beautifully. Earlier today, a horse went in 58-4. That's very fast for cheap horses.
The official post parade now for the 1995 Prince of Wales. Here's #1, Mount Sassafras.
He was third in the trial. He was third in the plate. He stalled both times on the turn, probably because of some hemorrhaging. He's been treated differently today to prevent that.
And Kiridashi, note the white cap worn by Larry Attard to distinguish the entry mates.
He was the rabbit in the plate. He did much better than his connections thought. He was a very late entry into the race. Today, he's going to be the predominant horse with Count Dugald.
Speaking of which, there he is. A long shot here today, certainly.
This is a great story. This horse was bought through a dispersal, and of course the great experts came in and picked out all of the horses they wanted, left two. This was one of them. He was sold for $5,000.
We go, Freedom Fleet with the Hall of Famer up. There's Sandy Hawley.
And he's getting pretty hot and agitated right now, and once they're in the post parade, this horse will go off by himself, cool down. We're going to revisit him at the gate.
Nob Hill Stable looking for another upset. They send out Cambo.
What a great message Steve Stavro has sent out by riding the veteran Lloyd Duffy. I'll tell you, he gets great run out of horses. He's one of my favorite. Between he and Holly, I'd hate to say they're probably around 100 years old.
Don't say it. Do not say that. Here's Regal Discovery, the Queen's Plate winner.
Very original, Terry. As I look just off to my right here, I can see him coming up. And of course, Todd Cable very much wants to show that that was no fluke. This horse has a great running stride, very much the same as his sire, Regal Classic, who won this race in '88. And you'll see him level, and if he gets there, he will gallop out almost around this racetrack. He's so hard to pull up.
Well, I'm looking at that horse.
It's, they say horsemen aren't superstitious. Well, a lot of them are. I look behind me here, and it's just above you, but Roger Atfield's almost leaning out over the roof there. That's his lucky spot. He's won the Prince of Wales Stakes with numerous over the years, and he's hoping to cop the prize with Regal Discovery today. They're loading into the gate for the Prince of Wales Stakes, and we have 3 more horses to load. Counter Combo is about to load now, and the last 2 to load will be Regal Discovery, the Queen's Plate champion. He'll be the second last load. And the horse that is expected to provide the speed in here, Kiridashi, will load in the extreme outside stall. There's Regal Discovery and Kiridashi and Larry Attard going into the gate now. They're at the post. They're off in the Wales Stakes. Regal Discovery on the outside. Kiridashi forges to the front. Count Dugald is toward the rail as they move in front of us for the first time. Kiridashi, as expected, has established the early lead. Count Dugald under a tight wind. Regal Discovery is third. In tight quarters there is Mount Sassafras in fourth. Bayon takes a hard hold as they run into the first turn. Then Freedom Fleet and Counter Combo 23-4 for the initial quarter. It's Kiridashi loose on the lead, unchecked way of the clubhouse turn. Count Dugald is second. Regal Discovery still out of trouble in third for Todd Cable. Just a length and a half off the lead though. There's a gap of 3 lengths. Mount Sassafras is fourth, and Counter Combo into the inside of that one, Freedom Fleet, who is now last, back 8th, the lead of Kiridashi, half a mile and 47-2. It's Kiridashi as they make their way to the far turn. Regal Discovery comes on the outside, takes over second now. Count Dugald, Patrick Husbands begins to scrub on him. Mount Sassafras is fourth, 5 lengths off. Then Counter Combo. Freedom Fleet's got a lot to do. He's back about 9 lengths off of Kiridashi as they run into the far turn. 3 furlongs to run in the Prince of Wales Stakes. It's Kiridashi. He leads by 2 lengths. Regal Discovery is second, Mount Sass. Kidadashi's entry mate starts to close up next to the fence as they come to the quarter pole here at Fort Erie. Kiridashi has led every step of the way. Cable's asking Regal Discovery for his best. Mount Sassafras is to the inside. Kiridashi, game, and the Regal Discovery's right at his bridle now. Mount Sassafras is toward the inside. They're in the final furlong. Kiridashi unyielding. It's Kiridashi with the lead. Mount Sassafras, Regal Discovery, Kiridashi in a shocker here. Wires them in the Prince of Wales. A 3-horse photo to place between Regal Discovery, Mount Sassafras, and a late-running Freedom Fleet. Then back to Count Dugald and Counter Combo. Boy, oh boy, Terry and Jim, Larry Attard and the Prince of Wales Stakes, I mean, they own it. Verb back a couple of years ago and again today with Kiridashi.
All right, Dan Loiselle, indeed, Kiridashi provides Minshall Farms with its second Prince of Wales win, but most importantly, and listen to this, Barb Minshall becomes the first woman in Canadian history to train a Triple Crown race winner. Jockey Larry Attard, winner of this race in 1992 with Ben Burb. He did it again, Jim Bannon.
And of course, a homebred, and that's always great when you're from the family that breeds the horse. You get the relish in it. The time good 155. That's better than a lot of horses ran here. Ben Burb 157 and 2. Dan Smartley 156 and 3. His Vestia was 156 and 2, and with approval was 156 and 4. So in the time frame, not bad. Last couple of years, the track record has been broken, but going in, you know, we thought the pace was the race, and that's what it is. Here we see Regal Discovery break to the outside into the path of Kiridashi. A great job to keep Kiridashi quiet. Just a little bit up the stretch here now. The entry mate, Mount Sassafras, was in tight to check. And that was a bit of a problem. You see that Kiridashi from the outside crosses over here, makes it a little bit tight. He was well clear, no problem there, but he slowed it down. And the effects of slowing that down, a half in 47 and 2 were seen by, we saw the final time on the here. And by this point, the race is won. Pace makes the race because Kiridashi was able to quicken in the middle stages with a 23 and 2 third quarter. And that made everyone trying to come from behind defenseless. Regal Discovery has every chance here, does the mate on the rail, as we see here, Mount Sassafras. But Kiridashi, cunning, coy, guile, has already won this race. He slowed it down. And on the outside, Sandy Hawley was having all kinds of trouble motivating Freedom Fleet. He's running fastest of all. He's trying to be fourth. It's very tight for the next positions. But Kiridashi, he outfoxed them.
That was an incredible run by Kiridashi. There you see him, but I've got to ask you, what happened to Freedom Fleet?
Well, the pace hurt him, first of all. You see, the fractions were so slow. In the Queen's Plate, they were running so dramatically fast, and then the pace backed up. Here it was the reverse. And I think if you ask Barb Minshall, she will absolutely tell you that she thought this horse had a big chance. We see that the plate winner, Regal Discovery, was second. And of course, the number to the entry, Mount Sassafras, was third. A fast-closing Freedom Fleet ends fourth.
What an incredible day for Barb Minshall. She's saddled the winner of the Prince of Wales. She's pulled off a third. Hey, that Mount Sassafras loves third.
Absolutely, and he did the same thing again. He stalled on the turn again, but a great boost for Canadian breeding, too. A lot of times these horses are by American sires out of Canadian dams, but this is Canadian. As I look out, I can see some of these horses getting hosed down already with a nice cool drink of water to cool them down.
How about Regal Discovery, the plate winner?
He was hurt by the pace, was too slow for him. Todd Cable did a great job to keep him close, but that did not work in his advantage that the pace was so slow. He was smart to keep him close. He had every chance through the stretch, but when you give a fresh horse chance on the lead, there's no catching up.
And there he is, Dan Kenny with the winning jockey. Dan?
Yeah, it's hard. 3 years ago, you stunned the world. This wasn't quite as big an upset, but you look just about as happy.
Yes, you know, it's another trip for me, and she done a good job with this horse. I rode him in the plate, he ran a good race, and today he ran a super race, you know.
Number think a bold ruckus would run that far, so we have to credit you with nursing every ounce. It looked like he gave every drop of what he had. One more jump might have been too many.
Well, you have to give, like you say, credit, you know, not to me, to the horse and the trainer. And she done a good job again. I can't say more than that.
Larry, congratulations. The Prince of Fort Erie, Larry Attard. And back to Dan Loiselle.
Well, thank you, Danny. I'm here with Sandy Hawley, who was on the favorite Freedom Fleet. He unfortunately finished fourth, and Sandy, did the trip unfold like you thought it would?
Well, kind of. You know, it was pretty slow pace the first part. And we were in a bit of a jam going around the first turn. We were on heels. And down the backstretch, they kicked in pretty good. And, you know, I didn't want to ask them too soon, but I had to ask them a little bit about the half mile pole just to keep them in contention. And this is really a speed-oriented track, and they just they got away, and he was trying at the end, but he just couldn't quite catch him.
Thanks for taking the time, Sandy.
Okay, Dan.
Terry?
All right, Dan Loiselle will return to Fort Erie for the prices paid. Talk to all the principals. Our coverage continues. Kiridashi, the unofficial. Welcome back to Fort Erie, a jubilant winner's circle area, and understandably so, Jim. Can you imagine this? Barb Minshall pulls off an extraordinary victory today.
Well, it's great, and she thought she was going in, and good for her. She pulled it off.
Let's return now trackside. Dan Loiselle. Dan?
Well, thank you, Terry, and I'm here with Todd Cable, who rode Regal Discovery to a second-place finish today. Todd, I know you're somewhat disappointed, and he looked well-positioned to me down the backstretch. Did the race unfold like you hoped it would?
And the fractions for the first half mile set up the way I thought it would, but it was just unfortunate. I could not get my horse to relax today. He was aggressive with me the whole race, and that's his key thing, and today I just couldn't get him to relax for me.
Another thing, Todd, you mentioned to me before the race today that speed was playing an important part in this race. That's exactly what happened this afternoon.
Speed has been the biggest part of this track today, and it's tough to close on. And when you get a horse like Kiridashi in front of you, setting all his fractions his own way, and you got to ask your horse to run that last 3/8 of a mile with a sprinter. They're pretty dangerous.
Well, Todd, a disappointment today, but a month of July. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Terry?
Understandably a disappointed Todd Cable, but there is Larry Attard. And you know, in 1979, I know you remember this, Jim Bannon. 1979, he had a terrible fall, suffered a spinal injury, almost ended his career, and surgeons.
Larry Attard, year in and year out, is one of the most popular jockeys in Ontario. He's represented by Coffee John Kalaja. They do a great job, and of course, he picked up the mount and sacrificed himself in the Queen's Plate. Didn't have to sacrifice himself in the Prince of Wales. He outfoxed them.
One of the great traditions for Erie, they paint the colors of the silks of the winning stable on the jockey that presides over the walking ring, and the colors for the Minchell Farms, brown and sand sleeves. So Barb Mitchell, the first woman to train a Triple Crown winner, and the colors of the late Aubrey Mitchell, honored Prince of Wales victory.
And he did a great job with his breeding program, of course, to get the right sires matched to the right dams. He sent a legacy that'll last a long time. Dance for Donna, King Corey, Bold River Tana, good filly right now, probably the best on the turf in the country. And of course, they won this race back in 1904 with Rushton's Corsair, so it's nothing new, but a long time between drinks, but a great celebration there, and Barb Minchall is to be congratulated.
Tim Hudak, the Member of Parliament for this region of Niagara South, he's a great athlete himself. He captained his high school team to numerous Southern Championships. He can take in this championship day as well.
Community is always a big thing here at Fort Erie, and the people rally around this race big time, Terry. It's the focal point of their year. They come out and support it, as you saw earlier, with some of the ancillary activities. And these people are speed. I'll tell you, Larry Attard is a favorite son here after what he had done in a couple of years ago in 1992 with Ben Bourbon. Of course, these people remember that. You know, he is their son, and they would quickly adopt him.
All right, let's go down quickly to Dan Kenny. Dan?
Well, Barb, you made history. The first woman to Triple Crown race, and to do it wire to wire with the horse that your late husband bred. Imagine a lot of emotions coming up.
It's just the most exciting day of our lives for breeding horses. Rushton's Corsair won this for Aubrey back in 1974, and it's been that long since we've won a Triple Crown. I've been breeding for it for 25 years.
Well, Rushton's Corsair, well known out in BC, a BC bred. If I can remember now, if we've got, now we don't have a monitor handy for you to watch, but you probably have the race memorized. You might recall I called on behalf of a West Coast client wanting to buy this horse after said no way. You had a lot of confidence in him.
Well, Aubrey did. I didn't know the horse that well back then myself, but Aubrey loved that horse, and he won the race for him, and we're just so glad he won this race for him again.
Coming out of the plate, did you think that this horse could do it better than Mount Sassafras?
The horse has been just training really, really well since the Victoria Park race. He's just been training great, and just been getting stronger and more relaxed all the time. And he shipped down here this morning and just was happy as a lark in his stall and just waiting to come over. And Larry rode him great, and it worked out.
On the grass and the breeders.
We'll talk to Sean and Pat, and we'll discuss it.
Well, great. Congratulations, Terry. Quite a win for Barb Minchall and the whole Minchall family.
Sean and Patrick Mitchell share the win. $216,000 Kiridashi has earned now. Will return to Fort Erie, continuing cover at the moment. Welcome back to the Prince of Wales Stakes. Jim, here are the prices paid.
Interesting payoff. The Minchall entry pays $720, $350. You'll notice $460 because both parts of the entry were in the money. That fattens the show price. Regal Discovery, his Mount Sassafras pays the exact same as Kiridashi, the exactor. Either part of the entry with Regal Discovery, $18.90.
And a look at the official results, and we run them down 1 through 6 as we send it down to Dan Kenny and Dan Loiselle for their final thoughts. Gentlemen?
Well, Terry, now we move grass for the breeders up at Woodbine, and Dan Loiselle, he gets up early and he watches all the workouts and the races. You got any sleepers that we haven't seen yet that'll show up on turf?
I don't know about the getting up early part, Danny, but we had an allowance race on the grass at the Woodbine yesterday, and plate starters Disciple, Lang, Fuhr, and for Pete's in there. And also there's the best grass horse in Canada is a horse called Native Region. I don't know if he wants to go 1.5 miles, but there'll be some fresh blood in the Breeders' Stakes 3 weeks from today.
Well, this result, I think, really emphasizes the sterling job that Bold Ruckus has done. He stands for Mike Byrne at his side in Ontario. He's become one of the world's most prominent sires, and this will do a lot for business at the Woodbine yearling sale, Terry and Jim.
All right, Dan, Kenny, Dan Loiselle, thank you for those thoughts. The format of this Triple Crown, I know that's something you want to talk about.
Well, it was mentioned earlier that the field tends to when we come here, and I think that's because, first of all, horsemen don't like to ship. Before 1988, this Triple Crown, of course, had 2 of the legs on the turf. Now only 1, the breeders, as Daniel Loiselle just said. I'm an advocate of having this race switch back to the turf, perhaps move to where the new turf course is and having the last 2 legs there. There are all kinds of horses that run on the grass. Look at Woodbine just yesterday and today. Flooded with turf horses, loving to run on the grass. I think if you had this second leg back on the turf, you'd have fuller fields, competitive fields, and that would set it up nicely for the last leg.
And for the second time, the Mitchell Farms take home that beautiful trophy. Let's quickly talk turf. They're facing a 1.5 miles next in the final leg of this Triple Crown.
The 1.5 miles is what separates them, Terry. We went from 1.25 miles in the Queen's Plate to 1 3/16 miles here. Now stamina comes into play and horse able to handle the grass, so it's a completely different challenge and one that some can't meet.
And the challenge on that E.P. Taylor turf course, wait till you see it, is absolutely the finest, is it not?
Well, the drainage is great. It's gaining world renowned, and of course the Breeders' Cup is coming there next year, and wait till you see what a show put on that turf course.
Let me put you on the spot a little bit. I know that some horses miss the opportunity of running on the dirt in the Prince of Wales. They're waiting for the turf. Who do you like for the next leg?
Maybe Disciple at about 30-1. He ran a really good race at Woodbine yesterday to win on the turf. Maybe I'll stick with him.
All right, you've heard it. Disciple is his early pick, at least for a betting interest. This has been an outstanding day when a long shot like Ben Burb in 1992 upset the favorite. Kiridashi wins this Prince of Wales Stakes. Our racing coverage continues 3 weeks from today, August 20th. Breeder Stakes, again a reminder, a 1.5 mile test on the turf for 3-year-olds. Tonight it is Formula One auto racing on CBC, the German Grand Prix, hometown favorite Michael Schumacher. That follows your late local news. And next Saturday, you don't want to miss this, the World Track and Field Championships, Canada's standing team to Sweden. Coverage begins at 4:30. And that stretch drive is one we'll remember. Kiridashi upsets the field and wins the 60th running of the Prince of Wales Stakes.